James Dean was best known as an American actor, known for his top-billing role in the 1955 film Rebel Without a Cause. His look and style cemented him as a 50s bad boy icon, which has been recreated hundreds of times in media since. 1955 would also unfortunately become the year of Dean's death, and today we're going to discuss the sports car that caused his early demise and the seemingly cursed nature it continued to display afterward. Just a year earlier, in 1954, James became interested in becoming an auto racer. After his film East of Eden wrapped, he purchased a number of cars, including a Triumph Tiger T110 and a Porsche 356. He competed in several races, which was frowned upon by the studios he was working with at the time, but their distaste in his hobby only fueled his rebellious nature more. On September 23, 1955, James purchased a Porsche 550 Spider just a week before his fatal crash. He named the car Little Bastard, and the eerie history of it began immediately. The same day as he bought the car, Dean met up with British actor Alec Guinness outside of a restaurant to show it off. In Guinness's unpublished diaries and letters, he wrote, "The sports car looks sinister to me. Exhausted, hungry, feeling a little ill-tempered in spite of Dean's kindness. I heard myself saying in a voice I could hardly recognize as my own, 'Please, never get in it. If you get in that car, you'll be found dead in it by this time next week.'" Dean laughed. A week later, on September 30th, Dean was at Competition Motors in Hollywood preparing Little Bastard for racing that weekend at Salinas. It was agreed that the car needed some break-in miles, and Dean needed to get familiar driving such a new purchase, so he drove it to Salinas before the race. At 6:15 p.m., a white 1950 Ford two-door coupe was headed east on 466, driven by Donald Turnipseed. He made a left on Route 41, where he crossed the center line and met head-on with James Dean going 85 miles an hour. The two drivers were transported in the same ambulance to a local hospital where Dean was pronounced dead on arrival. Turnipseed walked away with just a scratch on his nose. A tragic end to a young actor's promising life, but unfortunately, the curse of Little Bastard was just beginning. George Barris purchased the wrecked Porsche for $2,500 with the intent to sell tickets to look at it, and had it transported back to his shop. The car fell off the trailer and broke a mechanic's leg while there. Barris sold the engine and drivetrain to Troy McHenry and William Eschred, two mechanics who used parts to build cars of their own. While racing each other using these parts, Troy lost control and hit a tree, killing him instantly, while William's wheels suddenly locked up for no reason, sending the car rolling over in a turn. He was seriously injured in the crash. Two tires managed to survive the original crash, and Barris sold them together, but they wouldn't last long, as both simultaneously exploded, causing the driver to run off the road. An article that appeared in Jalopnik described the next strange events. Due to all the incidents involving Little Bastard, Barris decided to hide the car, but he was convinced by a California Highway Patrol to lend the cursed heap to a highway safety exhibit. The first exhibit was unsuccessful, as the garage that housed the car caught fire and burned to the ground. Mysteriously, the car suffered virtually no damage from the fire. The next exhibition at a local high school ended abruptly when the car fell off its display and broke a nearby student's hip. Later, George Barkowitz was hauling the wreckage of the Spider on a flatbed truck and was thrown from the truck in an accident. He died moments later when the cursed car fell on him. The death and destruction finally ended in 1960, but not in a logical manner. The twisted debris of Little Bastard was on loan to a safety exhibit in Miami. After the exhibit, the wreckage and the truck hauling it mysteriously vanished on the way back to Los Angeles. Neither of them were ever seen again. Whether this was a curse or just some bad coincidences, it was a force that could not be reasoned with or rationalized. Whether or not it was a curse, you have to admit the odds of so many mishaps involving this car are astounding and have been discussed to death. So what do you think? Thanks for listening. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing for more horror stories involving Hollywood and movie reviews. Until next time, be well.